No, it's not.
That won't connect to mine.
It will to mine.
Why do you get working?
If you want.
I don't know whether the remote is still on. There it is.
We're up in the hot seat.
We're just taking a seat.
We're just taking a seat here. And then we're going to be joined.
How many people are joining us?
Well, it's just me and you here. Yeah, this is us. Hey Ben,
Hey.
how are you again?
I'm good, how are you?
This is Hamlin.
Hey, Hamlin. Yes.
Cool. Hamlin's our marketing brand guy.
You sit there,
Uh-huh.
you're not happy.
Do you want us to move around one for you?
No, I don't think so.
I'm literally going to do my bit and then I'll go off.
Okay.
But where the right place is stands
For the camera.
for the camera.
The important thing is do I let us in?
Make sure the phone's on silent.
You're not here for my love, how
You're not in view on the camera there, Chris, just so you know.
You're a disembodied voice to our audience of millions.
If we scoot around a little bit here, you should. There we go.
Is that better?
Yeah, you're on camera now.
I'll definitely need a beer if I'm on camera. So is this chair actually going to be utilised by you?
I don't think so now. No.
You have to sit in the chair now.
We could pull our other guy in, but he's staying incognito in the crowd. So
Gathering people's real perception. They'll tell us it's brilliant.
Hello. Welcome. So for those of you that don't know, I believe we're being live streamed right now. Is that the case? Okay, so to quote, the audience of millions worldwide are listening to my voice and seeing it. I've never been live streamed before, so I'm not sure whether my mum would be proud or not. But, welcome to the second Founders event. The first one for those who came along was up at Desk in Old Town, which was hosted by possibly the nicest man in an SM postcode, Matt Greenwood. Tonight we are in the Workshed, so a massive thank you to the Workshed team. Imogen, who is part of the Workshed team, thank you very much for hosting us.
hosted by the nicest woman in it.
Nicest woman. Postcode, yes.
If anybody wants a tour, they're welcome. I'll take them around later.
That was one of my shameless plugs at the end of my speech. For those of you who don't know, my name is Chris Parsons. I work in the business and economy team at Swindon Borough Council. Very proud partners of the Tech Swindon campaign, bringing the tech community of Swindon together through events specifically like these. So these will be held on a monthly cadence, Lucy, is that right? Yeah. So we've got a couple of others planned. The one for February is booked in on the 21st, is that right?
20th February, 19th of March, third Thursday.
So the first one of those is going to be around security with Forgenics from Marlborough, who are going to be at the one in February. And then the event in March is going to be based around a book called Be More Pirate. So basically everybody has to turn out with a parrot on their shoulder. I have a combination of shameless plugs throughout this speech and terrible jokes. So I think I made the joke that this was going to be like a crap wedding speech, the last one, and I'm going to rehash that. This is going to be like a crap wedding speech. But the main event tonight is Shane from Van Heroes and Matt from I Know, who are both going to be showcasing the amazing hard work that they've been through in order to make their side hustles come to life. And we've got Ben Shorrock here of TechSPARK fame as well from Bristol, who will be interviewing them both and getting all the information out of them in a non-harmful manner. I'd also like to mention that, already have mentioned, the Stage 1 team. So Steve, Daniel and Craig are putting the event on Facebook and YouTube. As I said, a big first for me, so many thanks for those guys for doing it. Over the next couple of days, hopefully we'll be posting links on social media, so getting the best bits of this event back online again. So if anybody hasn't got enough of me by the end of this 5 minutes, they'll be able to see even more on LinkedIn and Facebook. So, a couple of shameless plugs. First of all, the Techie Awards, who are run by Anita James. They will be going on at the end of May. If you would like to know more, have a chat with Lucy before the end of tonight. I think we worked out how we could sponsor an event. I don't think we know how to actually win an award. So we were hoping that Kate, you might be able to give us a bit of insight on how you were nominated.
Go to the Techie's website, there's lots of details on how to apply for entries and be submitted.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Unfortunately,
Brilliant, thank you very much. I've already mentioned the future events in terms of projects, the security one, and then Be More Pirate in March. Starters for 10. So Lucy, hopefully, has been in contact with a lot of Lucy Payne, my colleague over there on the stool, has hopefully been in contact with a lot of you around your startup businesses. We're looking for information primarily to get people out there onto the website. So if you have a look up on the screen over there, you can see what we're calling the concept phase of the Tech Swindon website, which is the online digital presence bringing the Swindon tech community together. Over the next few days, hopefully we should be finalising that off and getting it live. The primary drivers behind it are first of all to showcase all of the events that are going on out there in Swindon. So all of the little meetups that are happening like this, cybersecurity events, UX events, all of the great stuff that's happening in the digital tech community in Swindon, getting it into one place so that people can get online and see what's going on. The other element of it will be showcasing the great businesses, the great startups that we've got going on in Swindon, so the Tech Swindon community, and that's where we're looking for your information so that we can get it online and show people what's going on in terms of the businesses and how they can link up and hopefully get some great connections going on between the SME community that we've got in Swindon and some of our larger organisations. So after that, just to mention a bit about the Tech Swindon campaign. So when we last spoke back in November, it looked as though the schedule of events was a little bit sparse. In the last couple of months, things have kind of come on leaps and bounds, really. And we've got 3 big events coming up that we're kind of positioning our year around, I guess. The first one is a collaborative event with Innovate UK. So for those of you that don't know, Innovate UK, massive UK government organisation based down by the train station, invest a lot of money into the UK economy and business to promote innovation. We're looking to put on an event at the end of April with those guys all around business support in the area. The second one is we're looking to get to London Tech Week with some of our businesses in June and July. And then thirdly, and I can't say too much about this at the moment, but it's the Tech Swindon Summit at the start of November. But that's the case of kind of watch this space. So that was pretty much that on my list. Apart from that, it was the Workshed plug, but she's already done that for me. And with that, I'll hand over to Ben from TechSPARK for the interviews.
Thanks, Chris. So, as Chris said, I'm Ben Shark. I work at an organisation called TechSPARK. TechSPARK is a not-for-profit network whose role is to help strengthen tech and digital people and businesses across the West, and we are helping to bring together and are part of the team for Tech Swindon. So, as you will all know, there is loads of amazing things happening in Swindon. We need to do more to join the dots and shout about that. So we're really pleased there's loads going on and we want to do more and more of it. And that's what we're going to talk a bit about tonight. So for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm not very good at doing things seriously. So this will be fairly informal. We're just going to have a chat about what we're doing. If people have specific questions and things that they want to ask, we'll do that. We're probably only going to talk for like 15-20 minutes each time. If people run out of drinks and pizza, help yourself. I won't glare at you or anything, unless it looks like you're not paying attention. That's it, pretty much. So, to kick off, Shane Hamlin, do you want to give me a 30-second introduction of who you are as people?
So yeah, I'm Shane Moore. I am CEO and founder of Van Heroes. We started life as a company called Tote, and we are essentially a man and van on demand platform. So if you think of Uber and move it to a delivery model, that's pretty much what we do. So my background, I was a professional athlete for quite a few years, and have worked in corporate worlds and some startups, and this is the very first attempt at a business.
So I'm Hamlin. I'm the CMO at Van Heroes. I first met Shane. We both worked for a mobile app marketing agency in Hungerford, and he told me he had this idea for this app, and he had no idea how to do it, but he just had this really clear idea. I told him I wanted to be part of it because I'd always wanted to work on an app, and then so the rest is history. We used to meet up at Shane's house every Tuesday night for Tote Tuesday, where we'd sit at his dining
this is
table.
about the business.
Yeah, we'd sit at his dining table and we'd work on our vision for this app while he's also trying to feed a baby and cook dinner and got a dog running around. And then I think it was a couple months later we came here because the Workshed had not long been built, and we came along to an open night for Nationwide. We're looking for candidates for their regional growth hub. We spoke to them. We actually turned up late, but which was great.
Finished.
Which is good though, because we were the last ones on their minds. Spoke to them about what we were trying to do, and we got shortlisted and we got a place. So for quite a few months we were here at the Workshed working on.
Well, I mean, we spent over 12 months here, which was fantastic. We were part of the community here and made some really great connections, and it really helped us also focus on what we were doing. So working from home, as Hamlin said, was it got us going. We put a stake in the ground. At that point, we were very early days. We had no one with any app building experience at all. Hamlin was working on design, and one of our other co-founders, Mark, who's hiding over there, he joined, but again had never built an app before, but coming here gave us a stake in the ground, a place to focus, but also gave us some real credibility as a business to attract other talent in, which allowed us to grow into what we are now.
Cool. And it's pretty clear from Uber for Vans what it is. But do you want to explain in a bit more detail what it is, in case anyone's, not that sharp?
Yeah, sure. So I'd hope you're all familiar with Uber, but essentially what we have is a platform that connects local people with man and van services. So we have some companies who are removals companies, and they might have 3, 4, 5, 6 vans. In peak period they are busy and they're all out there, but in off-peak season they quite often have vans come back to their depot early, and so they're looking for jobs to kind of fill. And what we do is we have a platform that's really easy for consumers to come on, book a job, get an instant price, book it directly through the apps. They don't need to carry cash and all the rest of it, and essentially have that man and van delivery service at a time that suits them. So that's kind of where we connect the dots, really.
I think one of the pain points for users was if they need a van, they almost don't know where to start. They might go to Facebook and try and find someone, but then even then there's no real validation of how, if that person's any good, or if they're just going to dump your stuff or what. So we were trying to create a platform that made it easy for people to find local guys who can do this, but also for us to personally vet those people and say, this guy is cool, he's all assured, his insurance is all there, he's got a license to do waste disposal, all those things that you might not think about. We just take care of it. And
I had a real validation kind of point in the journey for me. After about kind of 6 months of having the idea and building it, my lovely wife decided to buy a Wendy house for our daughter, who at the time was only 8 months old, right? Of course, every 8-month-old needs a Wendy house, especially one that's an 8 foot by 10 foot floor plan and 2 stories high, that we had to sell the hot tub
Wendy
for
mansion.
to get in. Yeah, well, I was going to move in there and rent out the house. But yeah, she bought this on the Thursday, and she said, oh, I found the Wendy house, it's great, fantastic. And I said, okay, I said, where is it? And she said, Reading. And I said, okay. Not a big problem. I said, how big is it? And she went, no, I don't know. Okay, that's a good start. So she sent me the list and I had a look, and I literally just went, okay, that's massive. That's not going to, oh, well, my dad's got a van. No, it's not going to fit in your dad's van, babe. It's definitely not going in there. But I ended up ringing around some companies and stuff, and everybody was saying, you're going to need a Luton van for this. It's not going to fit in a normal van. So I said, fine. So I rang around a couple more companies trying to find a Luton van that could do it on the Saturday when she said we were going to pick it up, and that was the only day the guy could do. And I couldn't find anyone. So for me, that was a bit of a validation point, because I ended up having to rent a van. Now, because it was on a Saturday, you can't return it to the Sunday, so I had to have it for the whole weekend. It cost me £150 plus fuel. And, the whole time I'm thinking, there is somebody out there with a Luton van who would do this job right now for a £100, £150, whatever. And it would save me my time of having to go and do this job. But I just can't find them. And why can't I find them? And that was a real validation point for me, because, I knew there was somebody out there, but I just didn't have the time to find them. Whereas if this was available at that time, I could have quite easily just booked that and found that person. So.
And does she appreciate this Wendy house? This enormous Wendy house?
My wife does. My daughter hasn't been in there yet. But
£150 well spent.
Well, considering it was £350 for the Wendy house as well, then yeah, £500 very well spent. But hopefully this summer, she's going to be 2 next month. So hopefully this summer I'll move her out and start charging her rent.
So how long have you been established for now then?
Well, I originally stuck a stake in the ground and registered the company in May 2018, but that really was just I guess to force myself in a way to do stuff, because at the time I kept toying with the idea and thinking, do it, but I never got around to doing it. So by registering the company, it really made me think, right, okay, I've set a base point now, I need to go and do something. I think Hamlin, you joined with me a couple of months after that?
June, July.
June,
and then
July.
we were in the Workshed November.
Yeah.
And
Mark, when did you join?
It was about the same
June,
time.
July,
as me.
yeah.
About the same time.
And even then, we didn't. Our the fourth co-founder, Trevor, he didn't even join until probably November, December time
I
in
think
2018.
maybe even after.
Maybe even after that, and so it's taken us a long time, and we finally launched to market around August of 2019. So we've only really been kicking around for just over 6-7 months, and we've gained a lot of data and kind of learned lots of good stuff, lots of bad stuff, and made lots of changes to what we're doing. But
including a rebrand.
Yeah, moving from Tote to
Van Heroes.
People think you were delivering something else,
or? No, I think it was something where the name had always been there with the formulation of the idea, but then as we started building it, we just realised that the name needed to mature and give people an idea of exactly what we do. And we'd always refer to the van drivers as heroes, because that's kind of what they're doing. They're saving people. So it just works. It just stuck.
The Tote name I came up with before bringing anyone else on board, and I chose it because tote, if anybody knows, actually means to move something, to carry, like a tote bag, for example. And I chose it because it was short and snappy, and much like people say, let's get an Uber. I want people to be like, let's get a tote, kind of thing. So it kind of made sense to me. But to a lot of other people, they don't necessarily understand that, and to the older generation, it's a gambling term. So it caused a bit of kind of confusion. And I think, we toyed with the idea for a while. We were using the term heroes for our drivers. As Hamlin says, they come to your rescue in a time of need, essentially. When you need to move something, they can turn up. So we refer to them as heroes. So we had Tote Heroes kind of moving, so it was a kind of natural thing. Yeah. And we did a lot of brainstorming one evening, and we kept coming back to Van Heroes. Everything came back to Van Heroes, and it made sense, and told people a little bit more about kind of who we were, really. So.
I think as soon as we changed, we were just like, yeah, it's always been that.
It was a really natural transition, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we were really happy with the brand and the colours and all that sort of stuff, and it was a really easy transition to move across, a simple name change.
If anything, it actually looks better with the current name than it did with the old one. So.
Yeah, and then the nice thing was we did it literally like 2 weeks before we launched to the public as well. So, although we'd built up a bit of a following, a couple hundred people on Facebook in anticipation for us launching, we weren't out there, so it was a great time to kind of change before, getting into the hustle and bustle and the rest of it.
And so that's interesting that you've taken that on board and changed that straight away. As you've gone through this process, has it all been super smooth sailing? Has there been things where it's like, actually, this is worse than I thought, or more challenging than I thought?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I think it is. It's always a bit of a roller coaster. Like you'll have a win, and then there'll be something that hits you. So, I mean, even the rebrand thing at the time, it felt like this massive problem. Because it was like, we're going to have to change this and it's going to delay things, and then you kind of come on the other side of it and you're like, that was totally the best thing we could have done. Yeah. And then you're on a high note for a bit, and so I think you kind of get used to it, I want to say, but there'll always be something bigger waiting for you down the line.
People talk about the entrepreneurial kind of roller coaster, and it's really true. There's highs, there's lows, there's things that work really, really well. There's things that someday you think, why am I doing this? Like, especially when you're in a side hustle, right? So all four of us as co-founders, we've all got full-time jobs. I've got a young family. Hamlin's just moved into a brand new house. And we've just got all
Not
this.
the Wendy house.
Not the Wendy house. I tried to rent it out for him, but apparently my rent was too high. So.
Yeah, I had a viewing and it wasn't right.
But there's ups and downs all the time, and we could do a whole session on all the problems we face, but also a whole session on all the successes that we've had as well. And I think the ultimate thing is if you believe in what you're doing, it doesn't matter kind of what comes in your way. I mean, I thought the world had collapsed at one point. I'm sure you remember early on in the journey, we had another guy who was working with us, and he'd built kind of 20 odd apps in the past. And I was like, yes, golden ticket. We've got someone who can actually build an app. And then he turned around and said, you know what, I can't commit to this. I'm not ready. And I was like, that's the world gone. Like, I've got no other way of building this app. And I really, I remember phoning you just being like, what do we do now? Like, we've not got anyone who can build this app. And Hamlin was just like, it's fine. We were fine before, we'll find someone else. And, we put a message out on LinkedIn and connections, and, we found Trevor, and, now he's in and he's vastly experienced. And, so again, we had that low point where we lost someone and I thought the world had just gone. And then suddenly out of nowhere, we've got this other connection who I had on LinkedIn. I didn't even know he could code. Like, it's just a random connection that I had. Turns out the guy can code and he can do it pretty well. So, it worked out to be actually a fantastic opportunity for us.
Cool. So, how do you both cope with that? What is your coping mechanism? How do you hold down a full-time job and build Wendy houses and...
Whiskey.
Yeah, I'm white wine, but...
I think that was one of the things that was so great about having the regular meetups, because even though we are all capable of working from home and having conference calls or whatever, it's not the same as all getting together in a room and just being sat around the same table. And because there's only four of us, everybody all has to wear all the hats, and everyone will have things that they look after, but everything is everyone's decision. So it makes sense. We still do it now, even at least once a week. We'll all get together, make sure we've got a collaboration session, and we're quite focused on what the next few months holds, what our short-term goals are, what our long-term goals are, what we're working on. We all have quite good visibility over things. So process-wise, it's just all about communication and being supportive as well. Like, we're all going through it together, and coming to events like this and talking to other people who are doing side hustles and doing stuff in their spare time, it's encouraging to know that it is hard,
Yeah.
but it's also really rewarding.
Yeah, and I think I'd echo that. Like, it's one of the big things for us is definitely communication. Like, we'd all agree that we are more productive, especially the guys who do the code. We're more productive when we're at home working in silo. But the really crucial part for us is just saying, like once a week, let's meet up, let's just, touch base. Even if you don't even have to really do too much in terms of meetings and stuff, but just being able to kind of sit together, have 5-10 minutes just to kind of bounce ideas off one another, and then you go your separate ways again. And we use things like Google Hangouts, and we use WhatsApp to kind of keep in contact with each other. So we know we're only a phone call away if we need each other, and I think that's a really important piece to kind of keep going, because as you say, we have the down days as well, and sometimes I'm like pulling my hair out, and I know I can turn around and message someone and be like, I'm going nuts here, and we've had some times where people have said, can we, I just can't do anything for 2 weeks, and it's like, that's fine, go take your time, and then we'll see you again in a couple of weeks, and sometimes it's, that's the best thing you can do, because you come back with a fresh mind.
Absolutely, yeah. Try and be a little bit elastic with what what's expected.
Yeah.
And I think also, just to add to that, it's almost not enough to just go and spend your time on it. Like it's so important we have those regular collaboration sessions to make sure that, because we have such limited time, because it's all our spare time, we've got to make sure that we're using that time properly. So it's a balance.
And in that time, you've touched on it a bit, but where have you found additional support and advice and help? What should people be looking for locally?
So when we first started, there wasn't actually that much around, if I'm completely honest. So rolling back the clock to kind of May 2018, there really wasn't much. But the world now in Swindon is completely different to where we started. Like TechSPARK has been honestly, fantastic for us. I work quite closely with Lucy now, and I get regular catch-ups with her and time in the diary to kind of just help guide and support. And on top of that, also local businesses. I speak to Nick and other people from Brave Dog, and I speak to Kate Thrings, and there's just people that are willing to help you. And coming to events like this, you get to network and meet those people. And it's been really good. I mean, even just seeing this advertised and seeing that Studio One, we're going to be streaming this stuff. I've not spoken to Studio One previously, but then we connect on LinkedIn, and oh, fantastic, you're live streaming it. Can we bounce off the back of that, piggyback it, and help push it out and use it for us? And you build out these networks, and having those networks to speak to people, and I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think that's the power of something like Tech Swindon that we're trying to build now, is that network of just being able to speak to different people. And if you don't know something, one person in the room hopefully will, and be able to help you.
Yeah, people are very willing to help, I think we found.
And so what's next? What's the future? Where are you going to be when we come back in 2025 and do this interview again?
World domination. Is there any other way? Hopefully sold to Uber by then, and living on an island somewhere, maybe adjoining islands, so we can all stay friendly.
Nice.
And,
Find the Wendy house over.
Definitely, I got to take the Wendy house, and I'll use Van Heroes to do it. We'll be flying freight by then. I think we've got really aggressive goals actually for this year. When we were discussing this Tuesday, and around kind of where we want to be, and we're really keen to kind of go after investment and make this a full-time piece this year, probably towards the back end of this year. And to do that, we need to expand, get some more numbers in. The power of what we're doing isn't in having 2 or 3 jobs a week in Swindon. The power of what we're doing is having 2 or 3 jobs in every city across the UK every day, which we think we can achieve with what we're trying to do. And the retail partnerships we're trying to put in place. And for 2020, we want to land in Bristol, Cardiff, Oxford, and Bath as well. Kind of really rapid expansion plans, and it's going to be really tough because we're still doing it as a side project. But the technology that we've built, once it's stable and we're really happy, it pretty much runs itself. So we have to do a bit of driver recruitment up front, and then outside of that, we can kind of drop in and just support as and where needed. And I think that will be the key for our growth.
Yeah, I think while we traditionally were just going after consumers and everyday users, we'll still keep those guys because they're still core about what we do. But then there's also building these relationships with businesses, and how can we help businesses help their customers, maybe small local businesses that can't afford to have their own logistics, but we can help them because we're an on-demand resource. Or maybe it's their own logistics that they need help with. So we're going to look to start building some of those relationships as well.
And this is one of the powerful things about being a small startup as well. It's the ability to to move quickly. And we found that people were using our platform to pick up items from retail stores. And so we've now approached those retail stores and started to form those relationships with people like Panoramic Bathrooms, for example, the bath store. And we realised that people had used us to pick up items. Now, they traditionally offered a delivery option, but 95% of the stuff that they sell is picked up by tradespeople. They sell bathrooms essentially, so tradespeople are going to be picking them up. But there was a lot of people that wanted to purchase items such as a shower pane, for example, and they couldn't get it home, but they wanted to fit it themselves, but they had no way of fitting it home. So this gives them the option to save money by not having to have the overheads of actually having a van, having the insurance, the goods in transits insurance, and MOTs and all the servicing stuff that comes with it. And also either taking time out of their day from their kind of core business, which is selling bathrooms, to delivering items, which makes no sense for them, or alternatively having an agency driver come in, which is a high cost. Whereas what this does is it allows them to have an on-demand delivery option that they don't have to carry the cost of. And so we're now kind of moving into that area and exploring that a lot further. We had a really great success story with someone who went into John Lewis at the Outlet Village, and they bought a sofa, and within 2 hours of them buying that sofa, we were able to get that home in their front room. And there's no other store that can offer that at the moment. There's no other service that's offering that either. So
from the business perspective, they can scale. If they've got a peak period where they need loads of delivery drivers, we can help them with that, whether it's surplus or the whole thing. But then as it gets down, they've not got drivers sat around
waiting.
So
And there's other pluses to them as well. Apart from those kind of cost savings, there's also, if you think about like a furniture company, they have a big store, they sell items, they don't deliver them straight away, so they're then carrying the cost of actually holding those items when they can't sell them. So they can't bring new stock in to sell. And sometimes it might be a week or two before they can deliver those items, and so they might only actually have 50% of the items in their showroom available for sale, because everything else is just backed up waiting for delivery.
So waiting.
So I think there's great opportunity for us to really offer value to those companies, and that's where we see the business going, and that's a great example of how we've kind of started to move, and change, and that idea didn't come from myself or Hannah. That idea came from the guys who are working on the back end, who traditionally, people think, they just get their head stuck in and they just code and all this lot. And actually the power of the collaboration of working together in a small team, you get those little ideas that come out, and we can take it forward.
Cool. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
A very final quick question. If you had to give one piece of advice to anyone who was thinking about setting up a side hustle, what would it be?
Stick with it. It's really like stick a stake in the ground, commit to it, and stick with it. You have to have the realization that it's going to probably take you longer than a traditional business, but if you're willing to stick with it, it's so worth it.
I'd echo that, and always look for ways to get excited about it, talk to people about it, tell them what you're passionate. Just when you think you're running out of steam on it, you'll have a conversation with someone about it, and they'll make you feel excited about it again just because you're talking to them about it. So share it as well.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next up we have Matt Jacobs from I Know, who I hope is going to bring that bottle of Chablis with him.
It's going to be on the screen. It's just going to be trying to do two things at once. We're struggling to face these guys. The amount of banter they had, and Wendy House, that's a tough one to be, isn't it? God, I'm going to start making some stuff up, aren't I?
I make myself at home.
Wow. Note to self. I have that effect on people. I just started to down a bottle of wine before interviews me. Awkward.
So, Matt, tell us about yourself. Who are you? Who is Matt Jacobs?
Who is Matt Jacobs? Well, apparently I wrote I wrote an episode of Lassie, if you Google my name, so random facts. I didn't actually write an episode of Lassie. I work at Nationwide Building Society, ironically, so I'm aware of the opportunities that they've been doing in the last year. For the last 5 to 6 years, I've been working on some of Nationwide's largest programs. We're talking about some of their mobile banking app rollouts. We're talking about some of the huge things that happen behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. You see the apps and you kind of take the app for granted. Well, there is literally thousands of people working behind the scenes just to make sure that when you send some money, when you pay a balance, if you go into the online bank, when you go into the branch, there are people working on this stuff, and it takes what you see is probably 2 or 3 years away from what we've been working on. Before that, I worked across a number of different companies. I worked Honda, PHH, or was Arval, they changed their name again. This is actually my second side hustle. My first side hustle was a company called Bevies. So I did delivery, but I did a different kind of delivery. I delivered alcohol, so cigarettes and all those party items that you need at a weekend when you have a drink at home and then some friends come around. You're like, yeah, let's get some drinks in. Have you not gone out to the supermarket to get the drinks in? I told you to get. And they're like, no. Okay, ring Bevies, we'll come out and deliver it. So that surprisingly was really popular. Unfortunately, cigarettes, alcohol, petrol are the 3 highest taxable things every single year. So when the Chancellor's coming out with his speech of like, right, so this is what the agenda's like, I'm like, please don't raise petrol, please don't raise petrol, please don't raise alcohol, please don't raise cigarettes. But it was, I mean, and I ran it for 2.5 years. I ran it initially for a year alongside my job. It was roughly 100-hour weeks, so I can empathise with the side hustle. It really gets hard. Finally managed to leave, and within the 2.5 year period, I turned over about $250,000. But unless you can really scale massively, I spoke to a company and they said, I'm going to order not through cash and carry, through you direct. They said, okay, how many trucks do you need? I was like, trucks? I'm like, how many pallets is that? They were like, it's about 18 to 24. I'm like, yeah, you are way out of my league. I can't drink that much even if I tried, you know. I would literally be rolling everywhere. So I closed it up and moved into Nationwide, where I moved into projects because I wanted to start an IT company. So I thought, that's where the ideas happen. That's where I'm going to get my experience. Start from there. That'll teach me what I need to know. And I can then build it from there.
And so at Nationwide, I know you're a value delivery manager.
Yes.
Managing the delivery of value.
Yeah, such a weird name.
Tell us about I Know. How did you come up with the concept? Tell us what the concept is.
Interestingly, it was actually my first side hustle, which actually made me think about it. It's something that you guys said. You don't know what you don't know. I walked away for a year or two feeling like I'd failed my business because I wasn't able to scale. I actually realised it wasn't a failure to scale. It was a lack of a network and understanding of people specific enough for me to talk to that could give me relational advice. It's all very good speaking to, I don't know if any of you remember that there was a company called Business Link. It was a government-run thing, and I would go to them and ask for advice. But what I was doing was so far beyond the experience of the individuals I was talking to. They didn't know how to give me something that would enable me to be successful in its exploitation and growth. So, hence after the 2.5 years, I closed it down. The idea of I Know basically come from the concept that actually, just out of curiosity, how many people here use LinkedIn? Quite a lot, because we're all signed up. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you go on there, you connect with people, sometimes you get a job. It's kind of like an online CV presence. Well, for me, I don't think the CV tells the whole story about who you are. I actually think all of you probably undervalue yourself when you go to companies to say this is what I do. So I Know is a platform which is asking for your career experience in a totally different way. It's asking for your job and it's asking for your company, but it's also saying, you know, who are the people who mentored you? Who are the coaches? So the people you are talking to tonight are giving you advice which is helping you in your success. those are really important people, and we should be proud about those people and give them the credit they deserve. We talk about what awards did we get? Did we get any really specific career advice? And actually that allows us to then start to understand what we can do next. So if Lucy's gone, I don't know where she's gone to. I'll show you this later. If you click on what's next, which is in the top right hand corner, what it will do is it will take the information that's in mine. That's it, click on that. And it will turn around and say, right, okay, based on all the users who have done your specific job, we can actually give you some ideas of where you can go next. Because, believe it or not, none of us are trailblazers, let's face it, we're all doing things that other people have done, but we don't know what those people have done because we don't know them and we can't find them. It goes back to my point earlier. So we've created a prototype which allows us to key this information in and then actually see the next career steps in our journey. Because did any of us really plan our careers? Did we just kind of land here and suddenly think, how did I get here? So, for example, if I was to click on Junior Project Manager, because I'm a project manager intern and I'm thinking, what are my options? I don't really know. If you click on the little node in the middle, what will happen is, there we go. So it will look at what other people have done, and it will turn around and say, well, based on what other people have done, you could be a junior project manager in 1.5 years. We know this because this is what people have told us. This is what they've done. And based on what other people have done, they've done, for example, in this case, and I know 2 people is not 94%, so you have to excuse that, but actually, they've done a PMO basics course by a guy called Chris Evans. Do you know what? Chris Evans deserves to get credit for teaching those people and being a major part of their career. That's a really good thing. There are so many teachers and coaches and people who support us that don't get any credit, but actually they're really important people. So I could turn around and say, do you know what? That's what I want to do next. And then I could click on, well, let's say I got promoted to a junior project manager in the bottom right-hand corner. There we go. Now it's going to tell me, do you know what? The next thing I can do is become a project manager. Oh my God, brilliant. I'm now starting to get to choose what I want to do. Well, why is that important? Because companies spend millions trying to figure this out. They put you on training, they give you career advice, they give you coaches, they give you mentors. They don't really know what works. So for me, it was really powerful to create something that gave transparency to anyone, whether they're career starters, people who want to make career moves, large UK enterprises who want a supplement to their HR systems, small business owners like us trying to find our way through the world. What have other tech entrepreneurs do? And it also supports the gig and Slack economies as well, because these people have a lot of skills, they've done a lot of jobs. So the kind of the next steps is to then look how we can turn this prototype and this concept into something that is actually meaningful, delivers real value. Because let's face it, I think a lot of people have questions about what we want to do next and what our options are. I mean, it would be pretty good if we knew and could talk to someone. Well, that's what we hope to do.
So you built out MVP.
Yep.
Sorry, a minimum viable product.
Yeah.
I spend my life talking in code. How did you get there? Have you built this? Have you brought someone alongside you to build it?
I wish. Believe it or not, I come up with this concept 6 years ago. It gives you a chance of how long I've been on this journey. And it took me years just to find a developer. Exactly the same problem as yourselves. I did not know anyone who code. And when you speak to other people, I went to some Virgin startup stuff, I've been to many things, and they're like, oh yeah, you just go to these places and you find a founder. I'm sorry, what? They didn't just grow on trees. Luckily, I was fortunate to work with some people from IBM, and he introduced me to his son, who just developed games for fun. I mean, it's just he would create a game where it would have some basic AI on it, which would try and catch you out, because it would be like, right, your weakest this side, so it would chuck more things like an asteroid heading towards an Earth, so it chuck more asteroids in the way that you were the slowest. And I got talking to him about it. He was the one who helped me, and over 3 years, which this has been building because we've been doing it on the side, we've literally pivoted like 3 times. Because originally the idea was about, you've got a lot of experience, you should sell that experience. But actually, I don't know what experience I need because I don't know where I'm going, or therefore we need to map out what people have done. And then it eventually has come to this, which is I like to think quite a cool little thing, if I'm honest. But yeah, it has taken quite a while to get there. But you know, it's one of those things that I felt like I had an obligation to do because I knew it could help people, and that empathy and that impact on how someone who really is struggling, doesn't have anyone to talk to, can click on something that they put a little bit of information in and they can get so much back, all these options that they never knew they had. It just kept me going.
So that's what gets you through it.
Yeah.
You come to the end of a long day of managing the delivery of value, and you think, Christ, I really want to go home and just have a beer and do nothing, and that's what sparks you back to doing things, is it?
Yeah, I mean, how many of us have had people where they feel they're in a dead-end job? How many people just turn around and say, I've got this idea and I want to do this, and they're so passionate, but then they stop because they don't know who to go? How many people use fear as an obstacle to themselves because actually, do you know what? They don't know who to turn to, and they're afraid of doing something because they don't know how to do it. But actually, do you know what? Fear is an irrational thing that we put in front of ourselves. And believe it or not, that scientifically, fear is overcome when you understand the way to do something. So actually, just by showing someone something, they remove fear as an obstacle, and now it's something that's no longer unattainable, it's attainable, and the steps we introduce make it achievable. Now people can start doing what they're really passionate about, what they really want to do. And for me, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. Just to have the thought of someone walking down the street, turning around and saying, did you guys do the I Know platform? I'm like, yeah. Do you know what? I always wanted to do this. Your platform helped me out. I'm doing that now. That's it. What else do you need? I mean, that is the crux of it. And I think there's too many places where you put data in, and then they sell it or they do something with it, and you don't know like where it is. What I'm doing is I'm giving you the data, and I'm presenting it back to you 10 times what you've put in, because it's about you. It's about what you want to do and what your options are and what you can do out of your life. I think that's a pretty good objective.
And so it's amazing to have that. One of the things is also amazing to get is some money.
Yes.
Then
standard.
It doesn't just have to be a side hustle.
Tell me about it. I've been paying for this for the last 3 years, so
Have you,
I could do it for holiday.
Have you worked through that model yet? Are you starting to think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because just the simple thought of where the original idea came from, which is reimagining your CV and how you do it. Every single person has a different perspective on this. I've had people who turn around and say this could be used as a HR system because it would be really good for careers. The really basic model that we want to do is kind of like Facebook, where you get that newsfeed. We'll put some adverts in there, and we'll have to rely on Google as the medium to do that. But as we get more organic growth and people come to us, we want to flip it and actually let them advertise. If you're an executive coach or someone and you want to get your name out there and people are looking for executive coaches, well, that seems like a natural thing. They're looking for you. Why would we not, provide a way for you to promote yourselves? People can then go look on the site and say, oh, you've coached all these people. Wow, this blows my mind. That's the type of person I've been looking for. So that's one way. You've also got a way that actually someone, if we went to big corporates, they don't like adverts on their internal systems. It's not something they want their brand to be associated with other brands. Therefore, actually, do you know what? If you give them the platform, say, there you go, they'll turn around and say, yeah, we love this. We don't like the adverts though. Is there an enterprise model there where actually you can turn around and say, do you know what? We can turn that off. We just pay an enterprise license fee. There was a concept of a shop. Do we put a shop in there and then charge off the back of that? There's a lot of people who do that. Actually, do you know what? That's such a well-trodden path. I'm not going to compete with all those, Odesk and Guru and things like that. It's just, you have the experience. You put yourself out there. You deserve the money that you get from that. I'm not interested in that. So that's the model that we're going down. But I suspect there'll be different things coming up, different opportunities and different ways to pivot, because people may turn around and say, you know what, I'm an executive coach, I want to use this, I want this platform to be the way I manage my time. Can we add a time management system in there? Can I have a way of invoicing people? Those could be features we could add, to make people's life easy so they can spend the time doing what they are good at doing, which is being who they are.
Cool. And so in that 6 years,
Mhm.
what's been the single biggest thing that you've learned from this process? Since it's the learning, teaching people things. What have you learned?
Yeah, exactly. Ironically, I needed my platform to teach me the things I needed to know to build my platform. I mean, the irony is not lost there. It's just you really have to surround yourself with people who are able to help clear the barriers, because as a founder, you have to wear those many hats. Realistically, you have to operate as a CEO, therefore you have to think as a CEO. The CEO of a company like Nationwide does not do every single job. He has a team around him. Therefore, you have to get your network to be that team around you, so you can say, how do I do this? You may have to do some of the work, but that was a real challenge, because I felt I had to learn everything myself. A good example is Innovate UK. I took this idea to them 4 years ago, and they absolutely destroyed me as a human being. It was really embarrassing. I was just like, wow, I thought I was really hot, but these guys just tore me to pieces. And I found out there's actually a company out there that will actually write the application for me, but they'll take 20% of the funding. And I'm like, hang on a minute. So if I need this amount of money to complete this objective, and you're going to take 20%, how does that help me? Isn't that a bit of an oxymoron? You know, that drove me nuts, because I just thought, well, great model. I'm not going to give you 20% of my company just to kind of write a piece of paper for me. I'll figure it out. But I have a great network at Nationwide, and as well as coming to places like this, you know,
So what specific support have you drawn down on? I know you've got some mentors in Nationwide. Have you been involved at things at the Workshed? Have you?
So this is my first one. So this is like my Virgin kind of. I went to Virgin Startup. I was following them because literally they were the only people I found. I went to an event at Bristol. There's a huge business event that they had, and I spoke to this one team, and I was just like, I got this idea, and they were like, amazing, wow, we can really help you, this is great, where are you? I said, Swindon. They went, sorry, European funding means we can only help people in the designated area, and therefore we are unable to help you. It was like half hour into the conversation. I'm like, I'll literally drive down. No, I'm sorry. And things like that process and those rules just really frustrate me, because it really highlights the problem that people, if you're not in a particular place like London or a real big city, you really do struggle to get the same support that, you know, places in villages and small towns get, and therefore this was a way for me to try and level the playing field. I've had people in Nationwide who are incredibly experienced consultants who've worked for some of the biggest companies, you know, there are, and I bounce ideas off them to try and understand how I overcome some of the challenges, because actually real life experience in big corporates is the same as what you get in a tech startup.
So I think, I'm just looking at Julia before I say this. So one of the great things that's happening as part of Tech Swindon this year is specifically on that type of business support and access to advice and how you get finance. One of the things that Julia and Chris and the team have been doing is putting together a program of activity with an incubator accelerator network that I won't name, but the global #1 university incubator accelerator network, and that's going to be launching later in the year, and that will be specifically support for businesses who want to draw down some advice from a series of serious serial entrepreneurs. So next time that won't happen, because you can say, well, I'm in Swindon and that'll be great, and if someone comes from Bristol and they want to get that, they'll say, tough shit, you're in Bristol, you can't access that, you have to be in Swindon and Wiltshire.
But you know what, in the future this could turn around and be location based. So if someone in Bristol has got some great advice and things like that, we might be able to actually match that and basically tailor that, turn around and say, right, this isn't available, we can create the same people and the same pathways through some specific AI algorithms or data analytics that can actually turn around and say, you can be just as successful as this person in a different location, and these are the equivalent people you need to speak to. You know, that would be amazing. You know, everyone is unique. You've all got experience. Your career is so rich with information, but you always focus on where you're going to next, and you never look back. You forget that all the people behind you are coming through trying to do the same things that you're trying to do, but don't know how to do it. You know, just a little bit of sharing and collaboration would be amazing. Cool.
So we'll start wrapping it up because I think people will want more. But not everybody has a bottle of wine in front of them,
Yeah.
so they probably all want another beer. But if you had to give one piece of advice to someone who had like that niggle in the back of their head of I have seen a problem and I think I know what the solution is. Should I set this up as a side hustle? Should I start a business? What would that piece of advice be?
I'd say go for it. You only live once, and if you project in your mind what success looks like when you've achieved that and how that feels, you create this vision of this life that you want to be, and the influences you take will be from entrepreneurs and other people that you admire and respect, and you'll pull all that together to create this vision. And once you get that vision, it sticks with you, and it drives you because you're like, that's my target. The bumps along the way then suddenly become almost irrelevant because you know that this person that you want to be has gone through those and they know what that feels like. So if you can do that, then you will achieve anything. And I truly believe with the right mindset, anyone can achieve anything, which is why I want to prove it.
Good link back at the end there. Thank you very much, Matt, for telling us your story.
And I would say if anybody wants to like keep in touch or hear about it, then just hit me up on LinkedIn. We'll launch a beta version soon, which will trial it out, prove the concept, and if it's something that people are interested in, I'm happy to share the story of what we're doing and where we're going. You know. Thank you.
So that's us for tonight. We're going to have some more beer. There's pizza. There's gin.
Yeah, so just a quick round of applause for Ben and his best ceremony. Secondly, I'm aware that you've chucked quite a lot of information and concepts at people. There's been a lot of tech something, so you may well have further questions around what does TechSPARK do, what does TechSwindon do. Just come and grab one of us and we'll explain all of it. And we're around for another half an hour to an hour or so. As Ben said, grab yourself some more beer or wine or whatever, and some more pizza structure with us, some more this and cake, and just grab us for a chat. So thank you very much for coming on, and thanks for all our speakers again. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you.